Take a look at that. Hello everybody, Silver Picker here, and today's video is one that I've wanted to make for quite a long time and finally have decided to do it, and I think it's going to be one of the most helpful videos for any of you watching that are interested in getting into the business of buying coins and precious metals. So not just the collecting, not just the fun aspect, but also the side where you can buy large collections, piece them out, and then ultimately make a profit. Now, I personally use this method of business to make a profit for myself. I buy and sell coins and precious metals all the time, but also it has been the foundation of how I've built my collection on the cheap. And what I mean by that is all the coins that you see behind me, all the coins that I've showed in my previous videos that are part of my personal collection, and my precious metal stack, my gold and silver, all have come from buying people's collections and then sort of swirling away little bits that I want to keep for myself while flipping the rest, keeping the money turning, and making a profit. And in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is the most efficient way to sort through a collection of coins when you're going to value them and then ultimately make an offer on it. Now, in just a moment, we're going to be doing sort of like a little case study with a bunch of coins that I got, and it's all in a jumble, and you're going to see the method that I use to sort through them quickly and efficiently, and it's a method that I've been developing and perfecting over the past 10 years of being in this business. Now, if you're interested in getting into the business of buying and selling precious metals and coins, whether you want to make a little bit of extra money on the side, whether you want a way to sort of get better coins for your own collection on the cheap, or whether you ultimately someday want to turn picking and thrifting into a full-time business, well, you got to stick around and keep watching my channel. And the best way to do that is hit that big old red subscribe button and that little bell next to it so you never miss a beat. I've got a lot of amazing videos coming out in the beginning of 2021, which is, of course, next week. So stick around, hit the subscribe button, and if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like too. That helps the YouTube algorithm send it out to more people so more people can learn about this amazing business and hobby. So in any case, let's take a look at that big old pile of coins and see how I sort through it. Okay, so this is the collection of coins that we're going to be using today. This pile, this monstrosity of silver. You might recognize this actual collection because I did go through it already in a previous video. You can check it out in the card over here. But do not fret because we're going to be looking at it again today, but with a totally different set of eyes. Again, the purpose of this video is to show you how I sort through a collection for the first time, make sure that I don't miss anything, evaluate it, and then can ultimately make an offer on it that's fair to the seller and will give me enough room to make a profit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these coins and we're going to do it in an organized and methodical way. So before we start looking into the specifics of this collection and going through all the different coins and setting them up into piles and doing all that fun stuff, there's an important distinction to make right before you even start, and that is to determine whether or not you have all the time in the world to evaluate the coins or whether there are some time constraints. And the examples of those are, in this case, I had all the time in the world. This is a repeat customer, someone who has sold to me in the past and has had a good experience, so they sold to me again, and they actually shipped me these coins. I didn't have to pay a dime, and then I have a chance to go through them in the luxury of my own home with all the time in the world, and then I can actually send him a spreadsheet with all of the coins, their actual values, my offer, and then we can come to a deal. That is my favorite way of doing things because it leaves the most room for me to make the lowest risk decision I can because I know exactly what I'm buying. I can make sure everything's authentic, make sure I'm not getting screwed on anything, and it also allows me to make the most fair offer to the customer because then I am sure if I can lock in my profit. I typically try and get between 20 and 30% profit when I buy a collection. In this case, I had a 25% profit. I paid 75% of the value to the seller. And I was confident in the higher prices that I was able to pay him because I had all the time in the world to evaluate it. On another end of the spectrum, where let's say you're at a garage sale, you say, hey man, do you have any coins? And they bring out an album full of coins, or even worse, like a shoebox full of a bunch of different coins, and you know they're antsy, they just want you to make them an offer, and that's that. You don't really have all the time in the world, so you need to sort of do a fast track. Now, maybe I'll do another video where I show off how to do that, but in this case, I'm just gonna be showing you exactly how I evaluate a collection when I've got all the time in the world. Either they've given me the coins and I can take them home and there's an element of trust, or it's a private purchase where I've been invited into their home. I can spread out on their kitchen table and go through things and maybe even spend 1, 2, or even 3 hours at their house going through everything before I make an offer. With that said, what do we do to actually start? Now, because I do mostly purchase coins from the United States, I have a very US-centric view of how I do this. So the first thing I do is I try and determine whether it's mostly US coins, mostly world coins, or some combination. And if it is, what I usually do is I focus on the US coins first, start to sort those, and then I see if there are any foreign coins. I save those till the end. So we're gonna start by sorting through things and grouping them in sort of their major groups. So I'm gonna be putting all the foreign coins or world coins to the side, and then within the US coins, I'm gonna start to group them by denomination. I see we've got some of these giant coins. I can see on the reverse that these are Panamanian Balboas. Obviously, these are not intended for circulation, even though these are technically coins, because they have a denomination and they are from the Republic of Panama. But these are easy ones to just put on the side to research later. Now, it's important not to get overly excited about anything. And what I mean by that is, like, if you see some Morgans, don't start looking for the variety that you know. Don't start looking at the details, because you will end up running out of time, and you need to do this efficiently, because remember, time is money. I could spend all the time, researching these, going on numista.com and seeing stuff that I don't know about, silver content, but that's not for now. Again, that's for later. It's more important to just get everything sorted first, and then you can start really getting into the nitty-gritty. Now, as I sort some of this, I think it's worthwhile to talk a little bit about sort of like the business ethics of all of this, right? Because I'm buying these collections, and in this case, the person is trusting me entirely. Now, that sounds like a pretty stupid thing to do, right? Like, just trust somebody that they're going to pay you. You send them 12.5 pounds of silver like this guy did. Like, is that stupid? Well, it depends. It would be pretty stupid to do that to somebody that, you never had any interaction with, that doesn't have a reputation. That would be very, very foolish. But in my case, there's a couple things that are sort of going for this guy to trust me. One is that I've got a lot more to lose than he does, right? I have a big public YouTube channel. It's not a secret that I make some money from the YouTube channel. So I have a financial and a reputational reason why I don't want to create a situation where, I'm ripping someone off. Aside from this, so this is like $3,000 worth of silver, right? And he sent me about $1,000 worth of rare banknotes. So he sent me $4,000, but that was not the first time he did it. He had sent me about $3,000 worth of gold in the past, which that was the first time he did it. And that was a big risk because he didn't know me. He only knew me from my channel. But like I said, there is some element of trust there because I have a lot more to lose than he does in a sense, right? If he gets ripped off, right, he loses the gold that he sent me. Let's pretend it's the first time, right? But I lose my reputation because he's gonna go out there and he's gonna start, making a big stink about how Silverpicker ripped him off and how no one should trust him, and then basically creating not only a problem among viewers, like, people will not want to view my videos at that point, but also there are other issues because I have sponsorships, right? Sponsors help pay for a lot of this, right? They help pay for some of the stuff that I buy so I can show it off. It helps me pay for camera equipment for my video editor. I would lose sponsors for sure if they found out that I was ripping people off, willy-nilly. So that gives him reason to say, okay, I can maybe trust this guy. So building up trust is really, really important for a business like this. If you're going into the coin or silver business, you need to be trustworthy because most of the people, well, maybe not most of the people, but there are a lot of really shady characters in this business, and it turns a lot of people off. And that's why people sort of sit on the collections that they inherited, for many, many years because they just don't know who to trust to sell it to. And that is sort of where I've made a lot of my money because I have been honest. Again, that doesn't mean that you need to, be a saint, right? I'm not going out of my way to give somebody 99% of the value so I make a 1% profit, right? I'm not trying to make $1 on every $100. I want to make something that makes it worth my time. So I'm making, in this case, 25% of the profit based on the value of this collection. And some of this stuff I do keep for my own collection or my own silver or precious metal stack. Basically, I'm making 25% off the bat, but if this stuff goes up in value, right? If gold continues to go up, if silver continues to go up, that will sort of extend my profit even more. Of course, there is the risk that it could also go down, but I put the gold with the gold and all that. So I continue to sort of sort this, And in just a very, very short period of time, we were able to sort this entire set of coins into 2 piles. Remember, it was a big mishmash of confusion a minute ago, and now we have it somewhat organized. So now what I usually do is I focus on breaking down the US stuff even further. Now, the first thing I like to do when I have American stuff is make sure that there isn't any clad stuff in there. And I already see that there is a bunch of clad stuff, which I've organized as I've been sort of putting things away. We've got all of these clad Ikes. And at this point, I do start to look through them. I'll look through them one by one to make sure that none of them are the silver clad varieties. And in this case, all of these are just run-of-the-mill $1 coins that can basically be brought back to the bank. Sometimes I'll just include these in grab bags, and sometimes, honestly, I'll just bring them back to the bank because I've bought so many collections. If I would have held on to these, I'd probably have over $1,000 by this point in clad Eisenhowers. So I take this and I put that off onto the side, and what I do is I mark it down in my spreadsheet. So I'm going to put my spreadsheet over here, and I'll sort of reference it as I go through this. But I do not pay more than face value for these kind of coins. Additionally, there's also a 1989 Kennedy half, and that of course is also not worth more than face value. So I would put those on the spreadsheet as face value. And typically what I do when I put stuff on a spreadsheet, I will color code it for anything that's out of the ordinary. So normally if I say to the guy, I'm paying 75% of the market value. Again, for all of you haters in the comments, I'm not paying him 75% of face value. That would be ridiculous. I pay him 75% of the market value with few exceptions. In this case, the exception is I pay only face. I'll never pay anybody less than face value for American coins that I can just bring back to the bank. So in this case, I would highlight the line items in gray so he knows that this is he's not getting 75% of the value. He's actually getting 100% of the face value in this case because I don't believe that there's a market value higher than face. So now what I do is I do like to go for the bigger and more important stuff first. So what I'll do is I see I've got a big pile of Morgan silver dollars, right? And what I try to do is I try to actually sort them into 2 different piles. I try to sort them into culls and non-culls. And here we go. So here, when I see an obvious key date or something, this one says 1878 CC, it's super, super important after you get excited, right? Obviously, when I saw this, I'm like, holy moly, right? And especially because I see the old price, all the other ones are like listed at like a couple bucks, like $9.50. Some of them were even $5.25, right? So $16 from back in the day. And it's a Carson City. The most important thing to do is before you start putting numbers into your spreadsheet, just confirm that it truly is a Carson City. So in this case, you can of course see that it is a CC mint mark, so it is a Carson City. So in that case, when I see an obvious key date or something special, I do put it off on the side and make a point to look at that later. Never buy the holder, buy the coin, right? That's true about graded coins, but also about not graded coins, right? Like you might think that this must be a special coin that deserves, extra value, but the truth is, it might be in better condition than some of these, but it doesn't actually necessarily mean that it's actually worth more. I see I've got a roll, right? I've got a tube full of what looks like Morgan dollars. I check to see what they are. Again, not going through them too much with a fine-tooth comb. So we've got a bunch of Morgans over here. Got a bunch of peace. And it looks like we're done with the silver dollars. Now I try and go down one denomination. I see I've got some of these Barber halves. So Barber halves, this is a special one. So this is an 1830 capped bust $50. It's in real rough shape, you can see. I can actually take it out of the holder because it was already falling out. But take a look at that. And now I just start to divide more. I see some quarters, 3 different types, 3 different eras of quarters. We've got the Washington, the Standing Liberty, and the Barber. And I still put those all together for now. And it looks like here we've already sorted out all of these war nickels. But what I like to do is if I see anything that looks like particularly good condition, like these 2 on top, I put those off to the side because these are uncirculated and these will be worth more. So I put these in that pile of let's examine them more later. And by the way, when I buy collections and there's a lot of copper, I will also separate that out and put that on the side for a little bit. So now that we've gotten these all broken down, we can start to determine whether the things are junk silver or whether they have some numismatic value. And that is the goal that we're trying to get to right now, right? So we started by breaking them down between US bullion and foreign, then we broke them down by denomination, and now we're going to go through each denomination and sort of start to vet whether or not these will go for sort of like their basic melt value, or in the case of Morgan dollars, like more than melt, but what their market value is, or if there's some additional premium. So what I would do, for instance, is with stuff like this, right? We've got all of these war nickels. War nickels are one of the exceptions that I do not pay 75% of the value for, because they are really, really hard to unload. And even though I believe that these will start to go up in price and up in premium in the future, I think that silver is silver and people will want it. And just because there is plenty of sort of inexpensive or relatively inexpensive junk silver that's at 90%, I think that eventually these lower percentages, like these 35% and the 40% Kennedy halves, will start to go up in value and will have more significant premiums. But in the current situation, I only pay 50% of the market value for war nickels and for 40% Kennedy halves. So these would go on the spreadsheet and I'd count them up. I always make sure that they are indeed war nickels, right? And the best way to do that, of course, is to make sure that the mint mark is above Monticello or Monticello, depending on how you pronounce it. Make sure that the letter is above the building and not in a tiny little spot to the right of the building. These all have mint marks above the building, you can see right there. So these are indeed war nickels. So now I would add this to my spreadsheet, and typically what I do is I put the type of coin, the quantity, the price per coin, and then the total value. So if, let's say, these are $1 each and I've got 11 of them, then the total price is $11 for the lot. And then I sort of put these off onto the side. So now all the work here is done for me, right? Because I already know, basically, I've been doing this for so long, I know the multiples that I'm gonna be paying, I know the multiples that I can sell them for, and I basically just can put these all in the spreadsheet, and that's a wrap. And then I can really spend the majority of my time focusing on sort of the harder questions, right? Like, what would I grade this at? What would a grade like that go for? So what I like to spend my time on is not going through each one of these with a fine-tooth comb, although I do check all these coins for key dates and major varieties, but I don't check my coins for like minor varieties. Honestly, people who buy the coins from me, if they find that I sold them a minor variety and they can get, another 20% in value out of it, good for them. For me, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the patience for it. And it's just, that's not my business. My business is buying large collections, sorting through them, selling the silver, for effectively, the junk silver for spot or maybe 10% above spot. And then basically, looking through these special coins and selling these individually. So that takes up a lot less time than if you were to go through every single coin and look for every variety. So what I would do is I basically go on eBay sold listings, I use WorthPoint, I have a few other sources, Heritage Auctions, and I see if any of these coins have a particular value, the melt value beyond even just sort of like the slight premium, but like a real numismatic premium. So this is the kind of thing that I want to spend my time focusing on, because if I lose a couple bucks from missing something, some small variety, and instead of getting a $10 profit on that coin, I'll get I missed out on a $20 profit on the coin. It's not a huge deal when we're talking about volume like this, but I want to make sure that I get the right profit out of this, because if I screw up on this could end up being a miss of a $100 profit or something. In any case, now I've got the time to go through those. And obviously there are some things that I do behind the scenes that I didn't show on camera. For instance, after I've sorted all these into piles, I do check them, like I said, for key dates. And again, always look at the coin itself, not the holder. I can't tell you how many times I've seen mislabeled holders. Even in this collection, there were a couple of mislabeled holders. So read the coin, check the mint mark, make sure you're looking at the actual right coin, and then see if any of these are key dates. And I separate the key dates, and I separate anything that looks like it could be in mint state condition. And otherwise, everything gets added to the spreadsheet, and I multiply the number of items of that particular type by the price per item, and then I end up with the total value that I'm going to be buying it for. So I do that with all those. I put those in the spreadsheet, and then I move on to the foreign coins. So once I finish with all the American coins and I've gotten them all in the spreadsheet, then I start on the foreign coins. And I just start to sort them by countries, and voila, we're good. See, in a lot of cases, when you've got more and it's older and you also have a bunch of non-silver stuff, it takes a little bit longer. You know, I've bought collections where I literally just get a shoebox full of coins, and a lot of them are foreign. And of course, a lot of those foreign coins are basically worthless. So that takes a lot longer. In this case, these coins were mostly pre-vetted to be all silver. And I think he just threw in a couple of other coins that might be worth money. But now I can sort of go through the coins in a much more organized manner because I have it by country. Canadian coins, because it's close proximity with the United States, makes it very easy to do a similar process with the Canadian coins. So I'll sort them, I'll look to see if there are any key dates, and otherwise it'll again be mostly junk silver, with of course the larger denominations like the silver dollars. And boy, I love these canoe dollars. They're really beautiful. But these, of course, get a little bit higher premium. These don't just go for melt. You know, I go through them and do the same process I did with the American coins. With the foreign coins that are not Canadian, I usually have to use eBay, WorthPoint, and other outside resources to figure out their value. And in a lot of cases, especially for the smaller stuff, I usually will just look up the weight and fineness of the silver on like a website like Numista, for instance, and then I'll just multiply that out and I will pay some percentage of melt. Because, you know, for a lot of these foreign circulated silver coins, you know, if they're like, let's say some of them have like, you know, 85% pure silver, some of them are 72%, and some of them are even lower. They go down to like 30% and even 10% silver. So those I usually just calculate up the value and pay out a percentage of the melt. And that's basically how I do it. You know, with the foreign coins, it's a little bit more work because there are so many different types and there's so many different weights and finenesses of the silver, purities, etc., you know what I mean? And the market is much weaker for these coins, so I usually pay a little bit less than I do for American coins, which I can flip just like that. And then, once I'm done with all of the foreign and the US, I move on to the silver rounds and I just start to sort them. And if you're interested in buying any of these, some of these I'll be selling on my Instagram account, so just message me, you send me a DM at thesilverpicker on Instagram. So I just sort of stack these up by type. And in most cases, I found that when I buy collections, they usually have a lot of the same type of silver round if they are sort of a silver stacker, and that's that. And then what I do is I do a quick search on eBay, and I see whether or not these have any particular premium above their melt value. In this case, some of them had a slight premium, others had basically no premium. And then I decide on what I can offer based on that. But the key to being fair to your client is be honest about what the market value is. There's nothing wrong with making an offer that's below the market value. Obviously you have to profit, but if you give the person you're buying from the power to make the decision with all the information, then it's a lot easier for them to even want to give you a good deal. They know it takes a lot of work to sort through this and then to resell it and to do all the research and have all the knowledge, of course, to do it in the first place. So they understand that. But if you start to like mess with them and not give them real prices, or you try and make it seem like you're giving them more than you really are, that's when sort of you start to lose that reputation. And aside from it being just not the right thing to do, it also will hurt your business opportunities in the future. And of course, after the silver, I do the gold. These turned out to be fake. I tested these. How did I test them? Well, they're actually magnetic, so they're definitely not gold. But this Mexican 2 peso coin is indeed real gold. This one I'm holding on to. And that's that. Doesn't this look much nicer, more organized than the previous one when we first started the video? Yeah, I think so. When I'm on my own after I get a big shipment of gold or silver or coins, or whether I'm at somebody's house and going over it at their kitchen table, this is exactly the method that I use. I do a divide and conquer, and then I divide the division, and then I divide the division of the division, and so on and so forth until I can get down to the nitty-gritty, and that saves so much time. And I put it all in a spreadsheet on my computer, and that way when I'm done, I can show the person that I'm buying from exactly what they have, exactly what the market value is, and exactly what I'm willing to pay. And then, of course, if we need to, we can still negotiate a little bit. Sometimes they'll haggle a little bit, and depending on what I think the resellability of the collection sort of determines whether or not I can give them a little bit more. In this case, this was an excellent collection. I did really well on it. The seller was really happy with it. He's already shipped me out another box that is actually equal in size to this. So I'm getting another 12 pounds of coins coming in the next couple of weeks. So I will be doing plenty of videos on that. But I really hope you enjoyed this and I hope you learned something from it. So for the question of the day, in the comments below, put your questions down of what you'd like to know more about when it comes to the process of buying coin collections. Maybe I missed something, maybe there are things you still don't understand. That's what I want to hear about. That's what I want you to put down in the comments. What are other things you'd like to learn about related to the process of buying large coin collections and reselling them for a profit? So, did y'all learn something? Well, I certainly hope you did, because I had a lot of fun sharing with you my methodology, and I'm really excited for each and every one of you to get started in this business if that's what you're trying to do. And if you're new to this, the best way to start is just letting people in your neighborhood know that you're the coin buying guy or you're the coin buying gal, so that when they do get a coin collection, when they inherit one, when somebody gives it to them and they want to sell it, they call you first. Now, don't get discouraged if at the beginning when you first start sorting through coin collections, it's a little overwhelming. It's very much like drinking from a fire hose, because you'll encounter so many different types of coins with different metals, with different countries, with different purities, with all sorts of different characteristics, and you're going to have to spend a lot of time learning on the fly. But that's what's fun about it. And the best part is, the silver lining is that every single coin collection you buy, you learn a little bit more and can apply that to the next one and the next one and the next one. I remember the first few times that I bought coin collections, it was overwhelming and it took me forever to go through all the different coins in all the different countries. Today, in most cases, I can get through 95% of the collections just like that in just a few minutes, and sometimes on the fly if I need to, like at a garage sale, I can make a very fair offer on a big box of coins in probably just 5 or 10 minutes. And that is the place that you guys want to get to. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned something, please consider giving it a big like. That helps with the YouTube algorithm and it gets the video out to more people, so we can get more people into this amazing hobby and business. And if you really want to learn more, I would encourage you to hit that big old red subscribe button. I have tons and tons of videos all about coin collecting, precious metals investing, and even personal finance, how to make a little bit of extra money on your own terms, and don't we all need that? So in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. Got a lot more great stuff coming down the pike, so stay tuned, and until then, Silver Picker out. A huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. Thank you so much for such an amazing year. This is the first year of me having a Patreon, and I am so proud of the community that we have built together on Discord. I am so excited to get to know each and every one of you even better in 2021, and anyone else who wants to join, you guys are more than welcome.